my experience working at Booger King, part 1. Okay guys, I'm making this video to highlight some of the craziness of where I currently work, which is obviously Burger King. So some backstory before we start. I started around March of 2019, almost the end of my sophomore year. And this month makes it a year that I've worked there. I picked Burger King because it was off the main road. It didn't look too busy most times, so you would think it would be an easy job. Not really at all. My opinion, it's simple in task, but mentally draining, not just because of the work, but the constant hysteria and lack of brain cells between some people that work there. I will not be using any real names, and there's also no foot lettuce. Here's my story so far, and don't worry, it gets good real fast. My first day I was pawned off the back where I stood and watched training videos for a 3-hour shift. That fucking sucked. I come back the next day, and I get trained by Trenchfoot and Tyrone. Trenchfoot is an old guy with a mustache that drives a white van, and has had a few toes cut off. And Tyrone is a guy in his mid-20s that ironically has a wife that works there. I learned the basics of making sandwiches, and all is going well. Then I hear the almost movie-level rumors this kid that is a grade above me that works there. We're gonna call him Herpes. This guy is the definition of a man-slut. He considered himself a charismatic, charming guy that tells his tales of having sex with his mother's friends and threesomes as a kid. Herpes is very important to the beginning of the story by that he had sex with Tyrone's wife. Accordingly, he needed a ride home one day, and to the rumors, he seduced her and did the deed. Mind you, this makes for a very rough work atmosphere when all three work there, and sometimes all at the same time. After I found out about this, Herpes soon quit to work somewhere else, which is understandable when you work with someone that you fucked their wife. Every time I saw them work together, surprisingly, it was pretty professional. It was mostly passive-aggressive. And apparently Tyrone and his wife would fight a lot at work, so it wasn't the best of marriages, so to speak. After a few months of me working there in the summer, they both left to move south. This is the Meatball era now. I have a good friend, which I call Meatball, that started working there. Let me tell you, he made work pretty hilarious. He would eat everything he could get his hands on, and did his job very poorly. The things, though, that would come out of his mouth, though, especially at the top of his lungs, make me laugh, even at this point in time. So we would send memes back and forth, and he would recite them out loud, mind you, while people were in the lobby that could hear him. One of the most memorable things that he would yell at the top of his lungs would be, "Pull it out of my ass, I'm gonna shit," at the top of his lungs. He did not give two shits, and this heavily rubbed off on me, and has had a hand in shaping how I am today. He eventually got fired, not from yelling things like, "Colonel, I'm dummy thick, but the clap of my ass cheeks keep alerting the guards," but going on a vacation that was already told to the manager, but still fired him and his cousin. His cousin, by the way, started a little bit before me, but oh my god, was he so dumb. We're gonna call him Troy, and he was so dumb, but paired with Meatball, even more clinically brain dead. Side note, one night me and Meatball put a condom on Troy's door, and some other nights had some interesting adventures, but I'll save those for later. After Meatball was fired, it felt like a gift and a curse, since he was a really bad worker, but a really good friend that made working there a lot easier. Back to Trenchfoot, the old guy with most of his toes cut off, didn't like Meatball, because apparently the day I didn't work, he pushed Trenchfoot around, which Meatball being a 6-foot, 250-pound redhead wasn't hard at all. So one day, it was just me and No Toes, and one of the orders is for my friend Meatball. No Toes, disdain for him, told me to spit in a sandwich, which I obviously declined. But made me think, if it was just him and I wasn't there, maybe Meatball would have even got some special creamy ranch, if you get what I'm saying. Thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned for part 2.